Meghan Markle has been quietly frozen out of the luxury fashion world. Not teased, not leaked as gossip cut off. Balenciaga has made the decision to keep her away from its shows, away from its inner circle, and away from the brand entirely. No statement, no drama, just a silent distancing that insiders immediately understood for what it was. In fashion, that's how bans really work. One season you're expected, the next your name is no longer on the list. The reasoning circulating behind the scenes is blunt. She's now viewed as a liability. Not because of clothes, not because of style, but because wherever she appears, the narrative stops being about the brand and becomes about her. Executives reportedly describe it as chaos by proximity. One appearance turns into weeks of headlines, commentary, backlash, and reputational noise that luxury houses simply don't want. Balenciaga, a brand still extremely cautious after its own recent controversies, has decided it cannot afford another uncontrolled storm. Internally, the phrase being used is the Meghan tornado. Wherever it lands, nothing around it remains intact. This decision didn't come out of thin air. It followed a series of rejections that are now lining up too neatly to dismiss. First came the noticeable cooling from Dubai, a place that normally welcomes high-profile Western figures with open arms when it suits their image. That warmth never materialized. Then Saudi Arabia, another region known for carefully curated global partnerships, showed zero interest. No invites, no simbolique gestures, no visibility. Those weren't accidents. In elite circles, absence is a signal. Fashion houses pay attention to those signals. They share risk assessments. They talk through intermediaries, stylists, and publicists. When one market steps back, others reassess. And in this case, reassessment turned into withdrawal. By the time Paris fashion insiders were weighing the situation, the conclusion was already forming. The cost-benefit analysis no longer worked. Whatever attention Meghan brings is now outweighed by the baggage that follows her. According to people familiar with the situation, Balenciaga's leadership reached a clear conclusion. Meghan no longer adds prestige. She brings unpredictability. That is poison in high fashion. Luxury thrives on control, on timing, on knowing exactly what story will be told and when. Meghan's appearances disrupt that. One outfit becomes a referendum. One front row seat becomes a political statement. One photograph becomes a global argument. For a house that wants its collections to be the headline, not the footnote in someone else's personal saga, the answer was simple. Step back. Then came Monaco. Monaco is not Hollywood. It doesn't posture. It doesn't indulge drama. It operates on quiet rules and rigid boundaries. According to multiple retail sources, Meghan recently attempted to access a Balenciaga boutique inside a high-end mega mall in Monaco. The expectation reportedly was private accommodation. That's standard for figures of her former status. Instead, she was calmly told the brand would not be engaging. No appointment, no private access, no exceptions, just a polite refusal. That moment mattered not because of the shopping, but because of what it confirmed. Once a luxury brand enforces boundaries consistently across markets, the message is final. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a scheduling issue. It was policy. Those close to Meghan say the reaction afterward was furious. Not publicly explosive, but deeply angry because it stripped away plausible deniability. It made clear that this wasn't about timing or bad luck. Doors are closing, and they're closing deliberately inside fashion circles. This is already being framed as the end of an era. Meghan's early post-royal visibility was powered by access. Designers wanted her photographed. Brands wanted the association. That currency has now depreciated. What once looked like relevance now looks like risk. And once that perception flips, it spreads fast that what's happening now extends beyond fashion. Entertainment insiders quietly admit that projects once described as in talks have gone nowhere. Not officially canceled, just stalled until they disappear. Meetings delayed. Emails unanswered. The same silent treatment replicated across industries. Nobody wants to be the next brand accused of platforming controversy. At the same time, legal and financial pressure appears to be building in the background. Advisors familiar with the situation describe growing scrutiny in the United States that is no longer hypothetical. It's procedural. It's cumulative. Compliance questions, organizational structures under review, funding pathways being examined more closely than before. Experts warn that these situations rarely explode all at once. They tighten slowly, then all at once, and by the time they become public, the damage is already done. This is why some insiders are openly calling this the anti-Meghan year. Not because of one scandal, but because of accumulation, too many conflicts, too many burned bridges, too many institutions deciding quietly and independently that association is no longer worth the trouble. And this is where the personal fracture becomes impossible to ignore. According to people close to the couple, Prince Harry has begun to distance himself. Not dramatically, not in a way that triggers headlines, but subtly. Fewer joint appearances, more solo positioning, a noticeable shift in tone. Those who know him say his priority has changed. He's no longer chasing relevance. He's trying to contain damage. Harry understands something Meghan appears not to. Institutions have long memories, and the ones he turned his back on do not forgive publicly. Attempts to reopen channels in the United Kingdom have reportedly gone nowhere. Palace responses remain cold and consistent. The message hasn't changed. Trust is gone. Access is gone. From their perspective, he made his choice repeatedly, loudly. There is no appetite to undo that. That reality is reportedly creating tension. Meghan's strategy remains aggressive. Push forward. Force relevance. Challenge institutions openly. Harry's appears defensive. Reduce exposure. Signal regret. Preserve whatever legacy remains. Those strategies cannot coexist forever. Observers say the irony is brutal. Meghan rose through elite systems, fashion, media, royalty. But she is now being undone by those same systems exercising their real power. Exclusion, not confrontation, not debate, silence, no red carpets, no front row seats, no private rooms, no access. And in elite spaces, absence is fatal. What makes this moment different is how coordinated it feels. No single scandal triggered it. No single event can be blamed. Instead, institutions across different sectors have reached similar conclusions at roughly the same time. That's not coincidence. That's consensus forming. Luxury brands don't moralize. They calculate. If Meghan still delivered cleanup side, she would still be welcome. The fact that she isn't tells you everything. The cost is now too high, the control too low, the rewards too uncertain. Meanwhile, public perception continues to harden. Each rejection reinforces the next. Each closed door becomes confirmation for another gatekeeper that stepping back was the correct move. This is how reputational collapse actually happens. Quietly, gradually, then suddenly. For years, Meghan's defenders argued that criticism was driven by bias, hostility, or unfair scrutiny. But brands don't operate on feelings. They operate on outcomes. And the outcome as it stands is clear. Association with Meghan no longer brings stability. It brings turbulence. As 2026 unfolds, the trajectory is becoming impossible to spin. This is not a pause. It's not a reset. It's contraction. Influence shrinking, access narrowing, allies thinning out. And once that slide begins at the institutional level, no amount of personal branding can reverse it. Harry, by all accounts, sees the writing on the wall. Whether he can act on it is another question. Bridges burned in public are rarely rebuilt in private. The palace has made its position clear. The door is closed permanently. Meghan, meanwhile, appears determined to fight the tide head-on, but tides don't negotiate. They overwhelm. The fashion world has already moved on. Entertainment is quietly following. Legal scrutiny is tightening, and the silence surrounding her is growing louder by the day. This isn't about one brand or one country or one incident in Monaco. It's about power shifting away. And once it's gone, it doesn't come back.